What does Saddam Hussein and a Fruit of the Loom commercial have in common? It's not a joke. We've got the answer coming up next on Carolina People. Good morning. Welcome to Carolina People. This morning we're on the Little Peony River at the Wildlife Action Adventure Camp. We're focused on community service and community activism, and we're visiting with Nick Hancock, community activist himself. Good morning, Nick.
Good morning.
Thanks so much for getting with us this morning.
Absolutely a pleasure.
What about this camp? It's amazing.
I can only say one thing. It's a hot camp.
It's hot as heck out here, yeah.
It reminds me when I was in the Boy Scouts. It comes back to me.
I know. When were you in scouting?
Oh, my God. A century ago.
For a few
Actually,
years.
I was an Eagle Scout.
Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, it was so exciting yesterday being out here with Bunny Beeson, the founder and president of Wildlife Action, and to see the excitement of so many of the kids out here, obviously getting ready for the rest of the season, and the excitement that goes on out here every summer and has been going, it sounds like maybe 20 years.
Yeah, he's doing a fine job. He really is.
Of course, he'll be back with us on Friday for viewers who may have missed him. And, of course, you're in today. Pete Mulford from Marion Regional Medical Center on tomorrow. And, obviously, Jim Battle, the representative that serves Marion County, will be with us on Thursday. So it's so exciting to get you making that trip up here to visit with us. Are you originally from the area, Nick?
No. Originally from Chevy Chase, Maryland.
Okay, great.
Born and raised there, and been down here about 12 years.
Is that right?
But I've been coming for like 20.
What brought you to the Strand in the first place?
Just because of the people and the nice area, getting out of the city, and I've always been interested in the South in the first place, you know, and I just met a lot of nice people down here and kept coming back.
Had you traveled much growing up in Chevy Chase?
Oh, absolutely. Pretty much went around the world 4 or 5 times completely.
Is 4 or 5 times?
Yeah.
You're kidding?
Yeah, sure did. My dad traveled quite a bit. He was a corporate executive and owned quite a few corporations, and so I traveled with him as much as I could. And even went to China, lived on houseboats and things like that. He loved to travel. Went to Russia.
Is that right?
So, yeah.
What was that like as a kid visiting Russia?
It was just like amazing because, you know, it's just hard for a child to put together where you were before, you know, you're from the United States and you go over to a entirely different country, and they can't speak your language at that time. Now they're better, and that type of thing, you know. But it was just like a strange thing. But everybody's really nice, you know, to children and to adults, and really, I really enjoyed it. I learned a lot. I really learned a lot, and it gave me a great thing to when I went back to school when I was out for the summer. A lot of times they have the kids get up and talk and tell where they've done for the summer, and I had quite an experience to tell, you know, so.
That is amazing.
It was really great, yeah.
Now, that shift from Chevy Chase, Maryland down to Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, that's a pretty big shift there, getting used to the... Now, you said you all moved down here 12 years ago?
Yeah.
Moved your businesses down here?
Yeah. And it was, it's not that much different, really, you know, except for you're on, of course, it's colder up there in Chevy Chase, Maryland. But I got, it was so nice to come down here because of Washington, D.C. Chevy Chase, Maryland is right on the outskirts of Washington, which is a very busy town, very busy city.
Oh, yeah.
So it was just like, almost like going to camp coming to Myrtle Beach, you know. It was really fantastic. And,
that's amazing.
I found myself coming down just about every other week almost sometimes.
Is that right? How apropos that it's just like visiting camp.
Yeah.
You know, the excitement, of course, being out here on a Tuesday morning and getting a feel of the taking in nature has just been so exciting.
Well, I had no idea that we had anything like this around Myrtle Beach at all. You know, a camp like this and for kids. And I really was surprised, and I'm really amazed by it.
And it's a co-ed camp, and of course the next few weeks open up for ages 9 to 14, both boys and girls getting out here, and I think there's still some opportunities to fit folks in.
Yeah.
Dick,
and all the volunteers he's getting, too.
I know, and I think he said he had 42 volunteers out here last week just for the day camp, from the 8 to 1, and he gets so many of them for the overnight camps. It's very exciting. Well, of course, part of the thrill of getting you in, I think in talking to somebody, I think it was Donald Smith, Nick, who told me that you were in national commercials for years.
Yeah. Fruit of Looms commercials. I was the original Grapes. Richard Simmons did it, I think, for just a short time, I think for 3 months or 4 months, something like that.
Right.
And I had a good friend who was co-star with Clint Eastwood in Dirty Harry. And he and I went to school together. Matter of fact, I'm his daughter's godfather.
Uh-huh.
And he talked me into doing it. He says, you just seem like you're a talker. I don't think cameras frighten you at all.
Yeah.
And, well, I found out wrong when I first did the first commercial, but I just worked my way into it, and it was just fantastic, you know. But I had friends that got suggested that I do so, and new people, and they did a test on me and said, that's great, we want you.
That is incredible.
So I just extremely lucky. Lucky.
You said Richard Simmons did it before you did. Did you all ever meet?
Oh, absolutely. Quite a few times. He's a fine person, cares about people, and you hear different rumors about Richard, but they're not true. They're just, he just cares about people.
Yeah.
He's that type of a person that just enjoys being out there and doing what he does.
Does he have that kind of energy that you see when he's on TV?
You can't
running up and down the aisles?
You can't even stand in front of him and talk to him without him doing something and bouncing around.
Oh, come on.
He can't even stand still.
Yeah.
So, but he's just going and going and going, and I'm not sure how old he is now, but I'll tell you what, he's still going like he was when I knew him, which was in actually the later part of the 70s then.
He's spry, He's still very spry.
Yeah, but a very caring person. Very caring.
You said y'all moved your business down here in, you said 12 years ago, I think, Nick. What's your business all about, and can you share with the viewers a little bit about it?
National Services is heating and air conditioning, electrical and plumbing contracting. We have an appliance division. We feel that you call one number for everything, and we're licensed and bonded for all those services. And our claim to fame is no service call from 8 to 5 during the business hours. Instead of charging someone $85 to go 2 miles down the road and pull in their driveway, we feel that's wrong. And so we charge no service call with a repair if they want to repair.
You're kidding.
So,
wow. Well, that must set you all apart from quite a few of the folks in the marketplace.
We're never going to become millionaires, but, we stay busy. We stay busy. So.
That's probably been an exciting thing for your customers.
Absolutely. And we do a lot of work for a lot of judges and people like that can't afford to pay the service call, but they feel that we're being honest because we're not charging them that service call. We could and get away with it. A lot of other people do, but we just don't feel that's right. So.
Had you had an upbringing in that? Had there been some experiences early in your life that opened the doors?
I went to and got my mechanical engineering degree, and my father wanted me to work for him, and he was in owned quite a few corporations that I wasn't that interested in. I worked for him off and on. We got along great together. Didn't have anything to do with our relationship. However, I was always into electrical and electronics and that type of thing. It was just my cup of tea. So I got my mechanical engineering degree and in design and repair, and I just couldn't get away from it. I had other opportunities to be in films after I did the commercials. A lot of people calling me.
I bet, sure.
I just wasn't interested. It was a fun thing to do. And actually, I tried to get out of it by goofing off on stage and in front of the cameras, hoping the director would say goodbye. Yeah. And the more I acted up, the more he liked it.
Oh, come on.
That's the way it was. I would just screw up as much as I could.
Yeah.
And they would cut rolling the tapes. He'd call me over, and he'd say, you know what, keep doing what you're doing. I said, oh, my God, I'll never get out of this. Yeah. And I stayed in it for 3 years. So.
That's amazing. Yeah.
Well, it was fun.
How did that experience? I know you said the guy was in Dirty Harry, helped open that door for you. But did you have an agent at the time?
I didn't, but it was required that I have one back then.
Right.
And of course, I when they first started doing their first taping of the commercial, well, they were getting us ready, and I still wasn't quite sure what I was going to do. Such a hustle bustle thing there, and they put me in tights and started putting grapes on me. And I said, I'm not going to get on national TV like this. I said, my friends will all have a field day with me. But he told me what it paid per commercial and how many times it's going to be on during the day.
Yeah.
And I said, I'm sorry I called you. I won't call you again. Roll them.
Absolutely.
So that's
Get me in on that.
Exactly right.
How exciting. But
yeah.
What about that aspect of traveling all over the country, getting in those commercials? Now, of course, you were living on the East Coast. Were those commercials shot on the East Coast?
A lot of them, some were shot in New York, some were shot in California. And we had to do a lot of live shows, even in Vegas. I even was on stage when Frank Sinatra was appearing, as a matter of fact.
Is that right?
And just as a kind of a warm-up type thing before he came on. And so it was a lot of fun.
And of course, for viewers who may not remember those Fruit of the Loom commercials, which were so popular, could on the spots, could they see your face?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, sure.
Absolutely.
So you would go places all over Chevy Chase.
You can't miss his nose.
Right.
So.
All over the country, folks would know you.
They even made dolls at that time.
They made dolls for Fruit of the Loom?
There was in little toy stores. They had toy Fruit of the Loom characters.
You are kidding.
Yeah. So it just snowballed. I had no idea. I was just got talked into it. I was going to do it more or less for fun.
Yeah.
For the excitement.
Right.
And I thought maybe if I didn't like it, then that would be the end of it, But it just snowballed from there.
That's amazing.
And I always tried to goof off, so it just snowballed and got so crazy that I was more recognized, I guess, than the other guys. So
we're halfway through. We got about 10 minutes, Nick, and I know part of the aspect. A mutual friend of ours had talked to me about you more or less being one of the liaisons with Congressman Brown there, our first district congressman down in the Low Country and on the Strand, for helping to communicate, albeit a non-paid, one of his active volunteers. Of course, the bulk of our viewers are in the PD in southeastern North Carolina, but one of the things, you brought some pictures along that I think he gave you copies of that had some of his trips to Iraq.
Yeah.
And recently to visit. Can you share with the viewers a little bit about each of these pictures? This first shot of, it looks like Congressman Brown and some other folks looking into...
Yeah, right after they captured Saddam, Congressman Brown went over to Iraq, and he called me, and he says, I'm right standing next to Saddam's hold. I'm going to take some pictures for you.
Oh, come on. He called you from Iraq?
Yeah, sure did. Called me on his cell phone. So, and I says, well, I want you to bring them back. And he did. And he says, matter of fact, he says, I went down in the hole. I said, well, that's what I've got to see. So I want those pictures.
Yeah. So this second shot is of him actually traveling down into the hole.
Yeah. And he said it was just like a coffin. You couldn't turn over. You couldn't sit up. And Saddam's a pretty big guy.
Yeah. Congressman Brown's a pretty big guy.
Yeah, I made a mistake here originally on TV here just not too long ago. I said, boy, he's a big boy. I must have had to pull him out with a crane, and I didn't mean to say that.
Oh, Nick.
And, of course, somebody else made a statement, well, he probably been shopping at Piggly Wiggly too much.
Oh, Piggly Wiggly.
His connection with Piggly Wiggly.
Oh, yeah.
But he saw it, he laughed.
Oh, sure.
I said, well, as soon as it came out of my mouth, I knew I'd screwed up there. But,
right. What did he say about being down in the hole?
Oh, it was just, he said he just couldn't see how anyone could survive in that place as large as Saddam was, because it was just like being in a coffin.
Huh.
And the odor was horrible. And, of course, they got him down there with $750,000 in a briefcase.
Is that right?
When they caught him. I don't know what he was going to do with that.
Yeah.
But he certainly couldn't spend it where he was down there.
No.
But he would come out once in a while and go into a building near the hole and bathe and then go back into the hole.
That's this third shot here,
right.
The building with the group of all the folks, I guess, who were on the trip there.
Right.
So he would actually come up to clean up and then head back down.
Exactly. And he had, I think, a couple of guys that were out there that were guarding him and staying in that little building.
Right.
And would give him the okay to come out. He'd come out real quick and eat and then go back down in the hole.
That's so fascinating for someone living in that level of opulence for such a long amount of time to...
Isn't it amazing to end up in a hole like that you can't even sit up in after billions and billions and billions of dollars, And it was just, but it just goes to show you, it comes back to you.
Yeah.
If you're a bad person, then you end up in a hole like Saddam,
Start over from where you came.
Yeah, exactly.
What about this last shot of Congressman Brown with the folks? Did he talk about visiting with the troops over there and the interaction of just how they were feeling?
Yeah, absolutely. That's why he went over there, and he said he couldn't. It was amazing of how the troops over there felt that they were doing the right thing.
Uh-huh.
No one ever complained about being there. As a matter of fact, they were getting, he said they had such fantastic attitudes that it was amazing. He said he was in tears.
Mm-hmm.
As a matter of fact, they were getting ready to fly out of Iraq, and he was on a Black Hawk helicopter with 3 on each side, and they grounded his helicopter because it was getting dark, and he ended up staying in one of Saddam's palaces that wasn't
Is that
bombed.
right?
And the tile in there was solid gold. 2x2 tiles with solid gold on the floor.
Is 2x2 tiles solid gold? Oh, come on.
I said I would have had a hammer and a chisel.
Yeah.
Trying to get me a piece of tile anyway.
That's right.
You know, everything in there was gold. So, but they were afraid he was going to get shot down or something because a lot of firing was going on. So they spent the night in the one of them that they didn't blow up. So.
Mm-hmm. Well, how did y'all get to know each other? Of course, oftentimes viewers will ask that question, or other folks just talking about that aspect. Like Bunny was talking about yesterday, one of the issues is the folks in Washington don't really have that involvement. And I think part of the Wildlife Action Adventure Camp slogan of local folks helping solve local problems.
Well, I was made honorary chairman of the National Republican Committee quite some time ago, and of course Businessman of the Year several years in a row and that type of thing. But it allowed me to go up and mix with politicians that had no idea what was going on locally.
Had no idea what was
and
going
I
on.
told them all about it, what I felt, and about taxes. And actually, the last trip was up there to the tax summit up there.
A tax summit.
Yeah, and that's and I got more involved. And being around Chevy Chase, my dad was involved in a lot of political work and that type of thing. So I got involved in it and have been involved in it for a long time.
Well, part of that aspect, of course, the congressmen are elected every 2 years, and so they have to remain active in the community. And I know you've helped get involved. Of course, there are folks that are involved in other parties and remain extremely active in party politics. But the effort there in the community of actually getting in and getting involved in issues and breaking them down to keep them simple as possible.
Well, it's like every time I go up there, I talk to Congressman Brown quite often and Tom DeLay quite often, and telling them of the problems that we're having down here.
Right.
That everybody in Congress, they're talking about it, but nobody's doing anything about it. And that's why it's so important for people to go out and vote and get involved with their Congress and their senators.
Voting is vital.
Instead of sitting around complaining about it, we need to get involved because a lot of them, you'd be surprised, don't know what's going on the local level. You know.
You mentioned that name, Tom DeLay. For viewers who may not be familiar, who is Tom DeLay?
He's used to be in exterminating business, and he's a U.S. congressman on the majority whip, and very high up in Congress.
He used to be an exterminator.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And anytime you see him, he's making a speech. He'll remind you of that. He says, "Pretty good for a bug man, huh?"
Right.
You know. Matter of fact, his nickname is Bugman, I believe.
I bet.
So he's. I'm very much involved with Tom DeLay because there are a lot of things going on that he said he didn't know about. You know, he heard bits and pieces, and I said, well, you're up here in Washington. You have a very busy schedule, but you've got to take time and talk to a local person whenever you can and find out what the problems are. And don't talk about it. Let's try to do something about it. You know, like hospitalization. We're sending money all over the world, and we have kids, and this is a good time to mention it, that have no hospitalization. They can't get the right medical care, because they have none, because their parents can't afford to pay for it.
Have you begun thinking of some of the potential solutions?
I like the idea of they have it in Greece. I believe they have it in England, where I wouldn't mind myself on a personal basis paying just a little bit more. I know they're making us pay in taxes, but pay a little bit more to have everybody have hospitalization. And they do it in Greece. I just talked to a friend of mine from Greece here recently, and he says it's been that way for years. And everybody's guaranteed hospitalization, no matter
That's
how poor.
universal hospitalization.
Absolutely.
Huh.
And they pay a little extra in tax, but my gosh, we're paying so much in taxes now. Let's put it where it belongs.
So you advocate raising taxes then?
Well, I don't want to say that. I don't want to say that, but put it in the right place.
No,
I'm
kidding, of course.
I know we're paying a lot of taxes, and I have a problem finding out where it's going.
Right.
They talk about highways. They talk about where it's going here. Well, I just heard something recently on TV, but they're sending $126 million to Iowa or someplace like that for a rainforest. So I got on the phone with Congress and called Congressman Brown on his cell phone, and I said, what is going on here? Plus, at the North Pole, they just allocated $40 million because they have 26 people working up there, and they want to give them some entertainment. And I said, we have people that don't have hospitalization. They can't afford to pay their mortgages. Money's going everywhere. We need to stop and think about this in our own backyard.
There's some bad examples all the time, absolutely. But, of course, the bulk of the work done, whether it's on the Hill or in Columbia or in Raleigh, is done pretty fairly across the board.
Exactly. But, they stay so busy that some things they just miss, And it's not their fault. They're not trying to avoid the problem. It's just we need to get in more involved, just like Bunny was talking about. We need to get more involved on the local level, and speed them up a little bit, I mean, they're busy people up there on the Hill, and I'm going to Washington, D.C. on July 21st, I believe, my wife and I, to have dinner with the President and Laura Bush.
Oh, come on.
Yeah. And,
you're not having dinner with the President.
Yeah, we're going to have dinner with the President, Laura Bush, and some congressmen, and senators, and
how'd that door open up?
Well, I just keep opening doors up every day because I just open my mouth and make the right calls.
Folks think it's opening wallets that do that, but
no. Well, you're not going to find anybody in politics that don't want you to open a wallet. For God's sakes, it's been going on for hundreds of years. So that's we try to donate where we can and to try to help people. Just like we donate. We donate money and take contributions for the Horry County Police, who takes kids out on Christmas that have no funds to be able to buy gifts or have a Christmas. We do that every year.
I saw that. I think I saw in 2002 you got a big award from the Horry County Police Department.
Sure did.
Because of so much of that activity. But of course, you get out there and help. You get out and help the police department as well. I think part of what, it was Donald Smith, I think you said you're so active with the Horry County Police Department, as well as a couple other areas that really prompted him to recognize you.
Well, yeah, and they have the Wheels on Meals that we contribute to and try to help that out, and they have golf tournaments and that sort of thing to raise funds for that Wheels on Meals. And we try to get involved as much as we possibly can.
Nick, we got about 3 minutes, and I think you talked early on about traveling around the world with your dad, and obviously the excitement of getting involved with him and some of the companies he was involved in. Were there inspirations for you on those trips or otherwise that really stuck out in your mind, whether it was just the scene itself or persons on those trips?
Well, there were people that were just absolutely... It amazes me now that we hear so many people really treated us very nice. I mean, everywhere we went, China, no matter where it was, they treated us nice and just went out of their way. Where now, it seems like when you travel abroad now, the people don't have a good... they're not the same. They don't like us too much anymore. And I'm trying to find out, why. It's because maybe we just need to stay here and handle our problems here locally. And they keep, all you hear now is, why are you people over here and getting involved with us? Why don't you take care of your own problems? We hear that you have so many problems. Back then, it wasn't that way. The people were nice. They accepted you, whether it was in hotels or wherever it was, and went out of their way for you.
I'm so glad you mentioned traveling. It was fascinating. I was doing a little research on you and did a Yahoo search or Google search and had Nick Hancock in Myrtle Beach and saw part of that experience of there was a trip you and your wife made to Hawaii right after 9/11.
Oh yeah.
And there was a quote I think in the Honolulu paper about you all traveling, not being able to find a car on the Big Island, and otherwise it was fascinating. That aspect of making a trip right after 9/11. So you have never been fearful of it.
Well, we made the newspaper, I think, 2 days after we got to Honolulu.
Right.
Actually, a lady approached us, and we thought that maybe there was something wrong there, And, of course, knowing all the police that I know, I got a little paranoid. And she was in jeans, and she really wanted to interview us. And the next day we were in the newspaper in
Honolulu Star.
Yeah, in the Honolulu Star. Yeah, absolutely.
That.
Yeah,
I saw that.
It's amazing that you found it on there, though.
Oh yeah, no, I found it last night. There was a picture of some girls on a surfboard and a quote from Nick Hancock.
I didn't see those.
Think about over the last 12 months and your involvement in so many activities on the local level. We got a little less than a minute, Nick.
Yeah.
Can you think of any accomplishment over the last year of which you feel most proud?
Well, I think that I'm proud of of trying to help people locally, as far as, like I said, the Meals on Wheels, and the kids that can't have a Christmas unless somebody helps them out. Also, I've got Congressman Brown working on some projects right now as far as this tax thing that I was telling you about.
Mm-hmm.
And we're working on a project right now that when you pay taxes for as long as you pay and then you retire, you're still paying taxes. And you hardly have any medical insurance at all. You have Medicaid, Medicare, and that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And we're working on that now, and I think something's going to happen here very seriously soon.
You got to feel good about that.
Yeah, very good, very good.
Nick, thanks so much for being with us this morning.
Absolutely. My pleasure. My pleasure.
Stay tuned to more Carolina People with Nick Hancock coming up next. Whether you saw him for those 3 years on national commercials as the grapes and all the Fruit of Looms commercials, or if you've seen him around the area with the Horry County Police Department buying and delivering presents to kids around Christmas time, or obviously seeing him campaigning with local congressmen down on the Strand, or passing along those savings to his clients with national services, you've seen Nick Hancock out in the community. You can see him on a regular basis. Just stay tuned.